everybody. Welcome to a special edition episode of Nerds Be Heard podcast, where we celebrate the 20th anniversary of one of the greatest, the fastest, the furiousest, most incredible saga in Hollywood history, The Fast and the Furious. It turns 20 this month, Charlie, and I couldn't be more stoked to celebrate this franchise. You know, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, this is your crown jewel. So this is a big deal.
I've got my tuna no crust shirt on, right? Anyone that knows me knows that I grew up on the Fast and the Furious. I'm a big car guy. I'm a big movie guy. When you combine the two and you bring stars to the front of the silver screen and Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, that is just the perfect combination of popcorn flick and car guy movie, and a franchise where it's not just cool stunts and cool action with great actors and great kind of future superstars, but also a franchise that has the vehicles as cast members. Like, vehicles really take front and center, and they become a huge part of who the characters are and also how the story unfolds. And as a car junkie, that just, you couldn't get any better. There's only a handful of movies like that, maybe Gone in 60 Seconds, that actually have that type of, man and machine relationship that unfolds in a really charismatic and romantic way. And I just absolutely love this franchise. So what do you remember? What was the first time you saw the original Fast and Furious?
Yeah, so I saw it in the movie theaters when it first came out. It was definitely something that I am by no means like a huge car guy like you, but I love movies. I love, action movies. And I liked when I first saw the trailer. I was like, this is going to be a movie that's different. It looks realistic, and it's, bringing you into that, street racing scene that they didn't really do anything that much like that on film to this caliber. So I remember seeing the movie, I was a fan of, like, I knew Paul Walker and, I'd seen Vin Diesel and stuff, but like, this was like the movies that when you saw, you're like, these guys can maybe become stars. And, I loved the movie when I first saw it. And, when it's weird that it's become, not weird, but it's amazing it's become such a huge franchise. Like, once you see that first movie, it could have been a one and done. It didn't need to. It may not have become as successful as it did. So it's been really cool to see it continually go on, even though I know we've talked in the past, it's a very different series now than it is in the beginning. I would say that, the Fast and the Furious, the first one, is my favorite and probably is the best one. Yeah. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of the franchise.
Yeah, and honestly, so what started out as a magazine article, it was in Racer X magazine. They actually explored this underground world of street racing in Los Angeles. And they were kind of exploring that it had this really kind of sexy, cool environment that took old school drag racing and brought it into like the new age, right? And so director Rob Cohen had read this article. They didn't even have a script at the time, but he's like, I want to explore this world. He had a great relationship with Paul Walker. They had done the Skulls together. And it just so happened that, like, the universe works in mysterious ways, right? And Paul was like, hey, I've been doing these teen popcorn flicks, and I really want to be a cop, right? I want to do an action movie where I'm a cop. And also, I love cars, right? And he's like, if I could somehow find a way to combine those two in a franchise, I'll be the happiest guy ever. Rob Cohen comes up and he's like, hey, you're a future movie star. I've got a movie where you're a cop, but you also get to drag race and ride these, right? So that was made in heaven. It was a match made in heaven, and that was one of the first major castings. And a lot of people, so back then, people just knew Paul Walker. He was in like smaller movies. He's always like the number 2, number 3 guy. He had done like Varsity Blues. He did She's All That. He did the Skulls, and people just didn't really view him as this action star, right?
No, he has the Hollywood look, so that's really
right.
That helped him,
Yeah, he had the pretty boy look, the blue eyes, jock kind of look, and but really this movie put his career on a whole different level and took him at one, you know, Vin Diesel just did an interview and he said that they were sitting in the premiere of the Fast and Furious, and Paul looked over at him and he was so confident in this movie. He looked over at him and he said, enjoy your anonymity. I don't know how to say it, but enjoy being anonymous today, because tomorrow we're never going to be the same. Everyone's going to recognize us. This movie's going to put us on the map. And it did in more ways than one. It created multiple movie stars. So the Fast and the Furious, I actually didn't see it in theaters. I remember watching, and that's like blasphemy because I'm the biggest fan of all. It is. But I remember seeing the trailer, and the trailer looked so cool because they ended up showing Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, doing that car, like driving the car underneath the tractor trailer 18-wheeler. And I was like, holy crap, that's the coolest stunt I've ever seen on screen, right? And I'm like, I got to go see that movie. Well, we were really young, right? So going to the movies back then meant your parents took you or they dropped you off with, you know, and came pick you up right after. So I didn't end up watching it until it came out on video. And my older sister had a sleepover with all her friends and they watched it. And as soon as they went to bed, I took it and I put it in this separate room and I watched it beginning to end and I was hooked. Now, here's the thing. I grew up, my pops, my uncles, American muscle. American muscle, you could not think about any other type of sports car. You were either the Chevy Chevelle, you were the Dodge Charger, you were the Pontiac, you were the GTO, you were American muscle around the 70s, late 60s, maybe Mustangs, nothing else. If you tried to bring in a Japanese car or a German car, they were like, no, you're not part of this family.
Well, what do they think of you now, Matt?
So I've actually converted most of them, right? Because as much as I kind of became intoxicated by the world and Dominic Toretto and this cool guy with this, you know, Dodge Charger, the Dodge Charger didn't show up till the end, and a great car, and I was in love with it. But from the beginning scene with the green Eclipse to throughout the movie when Dom first shows up in a Mazda RX-7, revs it up, and he's got all these gadgets, and he's got the NOS in the seat and all this stuff, I was like, these cars are cool. And it's kind of like the quote from Too Fast, Too Furious, where he goes, what are those, a bunch of Cracker Jack toys? And that's how my dad kind of was. He was like, why are you a fan of these cars? They're like little 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder cars. They're not big motors. And anyway,
they definitely became popular for our generation. Like this movie, whether you were a car enthusiast or not, got you into it. So it was really cool.
Absolutely. So I just got a message. So we've got a special guest for this special episode of the Fast and the Furious, and we should have started off the episode with this because I'm so excited about it. But if you're a fan of the Fast and the Furious, you know who Noel G is. Hector. Hector from the original Fast and Furious, from Furious 7, the guy that introduced Brian Earl Spillner to the world of underground racing, is joining us for a discussion on 20th anniversary of the Fast and Furious. He's messaging me now. He's going to join. He actually needs another copy of the link sent to his email. So we're going to send that over to him. And within minutes, he's going to join us. And there he is. Noel G, welcome to
the how's it going?
Podcast.
What up? What up? How you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks for being here.
We are doing awesome.
Nothing, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, we got the Tuna No Crust shirt on. We've got the Fast and Furious backgrounds. We are super excited to dive into the 20th anniversary of the original Fast and Furious. 20 years. 20 years since we found out that Hector was running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. And on top of that, he came into Harry's and he ordered 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec system exhaust. 20 years since that, Noel.
I'm getting speeding tickets ever since.
Oh man, yeah. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
We're huge fans, and honestly, we were talking about it before you jumped on the call. Actually, the role of Hector is actually one of the more pivotal roles in the entire franchise. And I'm not sure if you noticed this. Looks like he's got some. There it is. I'm not sure if you know, like ever like sat back and thought about this, but without Hector, the role of Brian Earl Spillner, played by Paul Walker, and ultimately Brian O'Connor, wouldn't have really been accepted into that underground street racing scene. You were the first guy to talk to him and say, "Hey, look at this snowman right here. What are you running there, pal?" Right? And you look under his hood. You were the first. You were the guy that welcomed him into the underground street racing world.
Yeah, it was hella cool, man. It was fun that day. You know, it's kind of like it was kind of like partying in real life. You know, we were just chilling, acting a fool, setting it up. A lot of people were out there. We had to have at least over 1,000 people on set. It was hard to coordinate. Had a lot of real car clubs out there that joined the cast of the movie, coming out just to show off their cars, hang out and chill. And long story short, and being able to get to open up the scene like that, it was unexpected, but yet at the same time, so awesome, you know?
Yeah.
We did a lot of ad-libbing in that movie. The director gave us a lot of freedom, you know, to keep it real and keep it organic. So some of the stuff that you guys saw wasn't actually written in the script. The format of it was written, of course. And of course, he said, stick to the lines, and we had our guidelines, but I'm just saying we were able to play with the lines a little bit. So to be a part of that and to open it up and be the first one to talk to Paul and say what's popping with it, that was awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, that was actually one of the main questions I wanted to ask you, which was, you have the character of Hector has some of the more memorable, more quotable lines in the entire franchise. We've got now 9 installments, the 9th one coming out next month in June. But to this day, the original still kind of has most of those quotable lines. What, you know, buddies that have been there throughout the 2 decades worth of Fast and Furious movies, they're always quoting the original movie, and Hector has a lot of those quotes. So the fact that you ad-libbed a lot of those, I mean, the cultural impact of that is massive. And some of my favorite lines, you know, from that first opening scene to some of the scenes at Harry's, you know, come on, man, white boys work fast, you know, like it's just, oh man, so incredible. So do you remember which ones you kind of ad-libbed, any of the kind of main lines?
Yeah, I ad-libbed you know, because it's something I say in real life. I'm Mexican Italian, so my dad's actually a white boy. And it's crazy because his last name is Guglielmi, and I could hardly even ever say that. So, in long story short, in real life, I say I got a last name too, but I can't pronounce it.
Yes,
That's amazing.
that was my favorite line. Yes. Oh man.
So we were at the table reading. It was kind of funny when we were preparing for the movie. They like to get all the actors together just to meet each other, introduce ourselves to each other, and just to read the script through, just to see how it sounds, right? No acting really involved. And long story short, it was funny because, you know, Paul Walker went and he was like, "Hey, my name is Paul," and blah, blah, blah. And it was like Vin Diesel wins, like, "Hey, my name is Vin Diesel," and blah, blah, blah. And then my name is Michelle Rodriguez, blah, blah, blah. You know, my name is Jordana Brewster, blah, blah, blah. And then when it got to me, what I always say in real life, I go, "Yeah, my name is Noel G, but I got a last name too, and I can't pronounce it." And everyone, but it was crazy. When I went to set, that line, what I said at the table read, was actually in the script.
Oh wow!
Wow!
They wanted me to say it in the movie, what I say in real life. And long story short, I'm mad. I get no writer credit. You know?
Yeah, you should get.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. I'm like, but so some of those lines, you know, it's just me from the streets in real life. And long story short, you know, I was just talking my slang like I do anyways, and they were loving it. They're like, "Man, just do you." I was like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, that's awesome. And that opening scene, so you said it was like one big party. You guys were kind of hanging out. How long did that take to film? Was it like multiple days, or how did
that was a 1-week shoot? That whole scene with the meeting up at the spot and then doing the street racing and the whole thing, that whole scene took about a week to shoot. So much coordination, so many people we had to guide and do this, don't do that, and all the safety rules we had and everything. So it took 1 week to shoot that, but it was pretty funny though, because a lot of people don't know this watching the movie, or maybe you have after you see it like 30 times, but it's funny because like when they race, they go straight and they just go straight, right? Same spot when they end the race. So we all ran faster to them to get to the ending. Like it finishes where it starts, but yet we're all there.
Okay.
That's
is
great.
kind of funny. Yeah, at the end.
Movie magic.
There. Yeah, it is. Actually, if you look at my background, you can actually see that racing. You're the one that starts the race too. You are, in many ways, Hector is our kind of pathway into this world, right? You bring us in through the character of Brian O'Connor. Then you start the race and you launch us into the fast saga, living a quarter mile at a time. I mean, there's a lot of pivotal scenes here where you're at front and center.
I never thought of it like that, but if I'm the key to the magic lock, I'll take that.
you have to be. I mean, they brought you back for Furious 7 with the race wars and all that. So yeah, it's always
yeah, it's crazy, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if they do part 11 cars in space, part 12 cars underwater. They just keep on going and going.
It looks like Fast 9. They do go to space. Tej and Roman take a little rocket up into the International Space Station. It looks like, and yeah, the only thing left is underwater travel.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised, bro. It's the franchise has got out there too. You know, it's got a little crazy. It kind of became like Rambo meets Jet Li meets Fast and Furious. It got a little crazy, you know, with all the other stuff going on. But I'm a fan of part 1 to this day, just because of the originality of the street scene.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's your favorite for sure, right?
And I say that, you know, humbly. It's like I've been in a lot of movies where I make a joke. I say the movie sucked, but the check didn't suck. You know what I mean? Say that or whatever. But Fast and the Furious Part 1, genuinely, honestly, in my opinion, everyone has their own, I thought was a very good movie.
Yeah,
no, totally.
we both agree. I mean, I'm a big fan of the franchise, but Charlie and I have talked multiple times about how it's almost 2 different phases. One was like the street racing, grounded in reality. You know, if you're a car guy and you're, into the car culture, you love Fast 1 through 3, maybe Fast 4 a little bit, but then 5 through 9, it's kind of like, okay, it evolved into this Avengers style team up movie where they're like super spies, right?
Like I'm still a fan of the franchise, of course, but I'm just making a humble point is that I wish it would stuck to the originality of part 1. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you think there's room for, your character to make its way back into the franchise, or since it's gotten more, crazy, that maybe Hector's character just doesn't fit in anymore?
In this movie, it's crazy, bro, because this is one of the only movies where you can die and come back. I'm like, I didn't even die yet. Bring me back.
Yeah.
But no, I see my character fitting in there. He could be like their street connection still, or if they go to the race wars, I could still be a connection on some level to some way. But I'm not the writer, unfortunately. Of course, always the dream and the wish is to come back. But I was even surprised to come back to part 7. You got the right number. But long story short, man, just to be in the movie and be a part of that franchise, I'm blessed with that alone. So it's just an awesome thing.
Well, the fact that you bring up the 7th one, there had been rumors online that your character actually was supposed to have a much larger role and it got cut. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, it was. I had a little more that I was going to be in Race Wars. I was actually scheduled at first for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned into 1 week, and then 1 week turned into 1 day. And so, but it happens, bro. I understand it. And, again, I was just blessed to be a part of the film. And I'm Mexican, man. We take what we get.
What was that like coming back? It was like, it was probably already a decade after you had filmed the first one. Well over 10 years. What was it like being back on set with Ben and Michelle? And did it feel like coming back home a little bit? Was it familiar grounds?
Yeah, it was, but it was real heartfelt, of course, without saying, what happened. And it was hard, man, to be honest with you. Coming back and I was so blessed to be a part of Paul's last film, and rest in peace, man. That's my dude,
Right.
humblest dude in the world, man. But to come back, you definitely felt a different presence, that it wasn't really quite the same. And because my scene was shot after the fact. And
Okay.
so because they shut down set out of respect to Paul, I think for about close to 3 to 5 months, somewhere in there, maybe even longer if I'm not mistaken. And then they brought us back. And so I came back on the second half of it. And you could just tell there was a different spirit, Everybody was, of course, trying to keep up and, do their thing and respect the movie and blah, blah. But you could just tell it was more heartfelt than, so, it was hard to come in all excited and as usual, I was like, hey, it was, I came in excited, of course, but at the same time with the respect of the situation. So it was hard, man. It was heartfelt, but I think their farewell to him at the end and everything they did, the way they finished it off, and to be a part of that movie, to be a part of, the last thing that he did, the last film, I'm just so thankful to God for that, because again, as it gets into part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're not getting called and no reception, you're thinking like, oh, they forgot about me. And then you get a call out of nowhere. And that's why I make the joke. I was like, you got the right number? Like, you sure? They said, sure, like, you might want to triple check that, not double check it, triple check it.
Yeah.
And my manager agent was like, yeah, they want you back. And I was like, oh, wow. And so it was heartfelt, man. That's the only way I could really say it. It was tough, hard, and exciting all at the same time.
Yeah, and that's your character being part of Furious 7 as a viewer and a major fan of the franchise. Actually, my two favorite scenes in Furious 7 were actually the race war scene and then the farewell to Paul. I mean, I don't think anybody left that theater without at least choking up a little bit, especially fans of the franchise with that last scene. But I remember knowing I'm coming to this movie and it's going to be somber. It's nothing compared to your experience. You actually knew Paul, you worked with him, but like us fans, you look at the Fast and Furious cast, it's like Fast Family, right? Sometimes you kind of feel like this is, I'm friends with these people. I grew up with them. I grew up idolizing them, watching them, and loving these movies, and it has this kind of really familial feel to it. So you go into that knowing, hey, it's gonna be kind of somber, but I remember sitting in theaters for the race war scene, just grinning ear to ear because it brought back the roots and just you getting decked by Letty and just smiling. Like you could tell you were having a good time on set. I mean, it came across in your face. You were smiling. You got hit by Letty. It's like, oh no harm, no foul. We're good. It was awesome.
It was definitely hella cool. And you hit it on the nose right there, with coming back to the roots of it. That was a lot of people's favorite scenes. I got a lot of people who comment on that scene. And, again, a lot of the fans wish that it would, kind of more so stuck to that. But so I felt good about it, man. It was exciting, bro. It was exciting. So I can't be mad at nobody.
Would you ever be open to, so we talk about that, right? So there is obviously a huge market for these big budget kind of space exploration Fast and Furious movies with, I call it like when The Rock came in, it became a whole new green screen kind of franchise. And it was like pre-Rock, post-Rock. But I think there's still you're always traveling, going to car shows, kind of, being part of that car culture. So I'm sure you're really well aware it's a massive scene and there's a lot of people in that car culture. I still think there is a market for that grounded in the basics, original Fast and Furious 5. Would you be open to doing like a spin-off series on like a Netflix or streaming platform about Hector and his crew? Maybe bring Leon back because who knows where Leon is from Fast Furious 1. Is that something you'd ever be interested in?
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, I've already thought about that, and I even had a name for it, call it Hector's Garage.
Yes.
And, something along that. But that's already been, thought of and, been wanting to be created. And Yeah, but I would be open to it 1,000,000,000%. If you know someone, let me know and we'll go make it.
Hey, people have had success starting GoFundMe's and or launching these big kind of efforts for the fans to fund something like that, even if it's for like a digital short. I'll happily create one right after this. We can launch it, right? Hector's Garage. That's the name of it. We're gonna start it. I just decided because I can get behind that. Hector's Garage would be awesome.
So many different things we can throw in there and things that could happen, and with a lot of movies you can always do spin-offs and they could be really, really off the hook. But yeah, I'd be open to that 100%.
Yeah, they made it. They did really well with the MCU. A lot of people compare. So Ludacris was on an interview with Entertainment Weekly a couple weeks ago, and he said, the Fast and Furious was the Avengers before the Avengers. It was the first big team up film, Fast Five, basically. It was the first big team up film with like a multicultural cast going out and saving the world, right? And so I look at the Fast Saga as its own like little MCU, right? It's a franchise with multiple arms, multiple geographic locations. I think it could be really successful. You branch out into these spin-off, if it's not movies, you do TV shows. They've done it with Star Wars, with The Mandalorian. They've done it with the MCU, with these spin-off shows. I think it would be successful.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity to like bring it back to its roots, but then you can still have the big shebang on, what they're doing with the main saga. So,
and so
go ahead.
Anyone in the franchise that you haven't had a chance to work with yet that you'd want to be part of that experience? Maybe someone you'd want to star opposite of.
I don't know, man. That's a good question. I never really gave that thought. I just always look at it in a sense of I'm very blessed to stay working, period.
Yeah.
So I'm happy I'm happy. Sorry about that. So I'm happy with whoever it is that I'm working with. And long story short, man, I got a few wish list characters that I wish I could, work opposite off of. I think Michelle Rodriguez would be one, because she's badass and I got much love for her. And she's always in the mix and doing something crazy. So I got to work with her on another movie, SWAT. I had a cameo in that movie after it, so I think she would be one of the ones that I would love to do something with. I think we could get grimy and gritty and raw with it, and also just to go back for 2 seconds on what you said about a multicultural cast. That's what I love about this film as well, is that it had Blacks, Mexicans, whites, Asian, and it brought kind of the Baskin-Robbins 31 flavors all together in a film where we all got along, and it opened up so many doors for so many people. So to be a part of that legacy as well on that side of it, I think that was cool too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that absolutely started with the first one, right? It was this completely multicultural experience, especially that opening, race scene with just they even like that opening shot, they go through and they like go through, it's basically kind of like when you're looking at the lunch tables in high school, right? It's got all these different groups of people and they're all coming together in their common love for racing, which was just super, super cool.
Yeah, it's like, it's sad to say, but it's ahead of its time. Like, we shouldn't have to say that, but it really was. It's 20 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was funny because the way we recruited a lot of the people for that movie was we literally went to the real street scenes where they were really racing. And we just asked all these different people right there in the street who were real racers, you guys want to be in a movie about this stuff? And we didn't expect as many people to show up as that did show up. And that's how we got a lot of our extras.
Did you do any scouting yourself just to get kind of used to that scene? And
yeah, I was with them. We went to Long Beach. In Long Beach, out there, I forget what boulevard, but there was a famous boulevard that was known out there for real street racing. And we went out there and I was out there and, nobody knew who I was yet. They all looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, we're getting ready to film this big movie with Universal. And I'm just like, we need extras, man. We need extras. You guys want to bring your car club and be in it? They're like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. Number. call who you got to call, arrange it, coordinate. And long story short, it was crazy, man. We had more people show up and wanted to be in it. And then, of course, after the movie, we didn't really have to recruit no more because it was so well known they got it. Everybody was rushing to be in the movie in the second, third, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess in that kind of that street scene, I mean, if you're bringing real people out there, I mean, I guess it was pretty close to an accurate depiction. I mean, obviously Hollywood will glorify it a little bit, but an accurate depiction of what those car meets kind of looked like back then.
Yeah, I had one real racer come up to me, and I never forget this. I thought it was kind of funny. He comes up to me, and a real street dude, real racer dude, and he goes, "Hey, the way the racing was in the movie, I didn't really like it. I didn't think it was real." And it kind of sideswiped me. I was like, "Oh," and I never say anything because each person has their own opinion, respectfully and all good, right? I was just a listener, but he said something that kind of caught my ear. He goes, in real life, we have crappy cars and we have $100,000 engines. Because the reason why, so when we pull up next to a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, they look at the car and they think like, of course I could beat that car. But they don't know that it's $100,000 engine and a $10,000 body of the car. And so like, if we win them and we get paid and it's a scam. And I was like, oh, and anyways, my point, after I heard that from this dude, I was like, that would be actually really cool to show in the movie. Like one of the movies should have like a banged up car. Like imagine like some Honda rolls up that looks kind of beat up, kind of trashy, and you got a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, and they're like, man, I could beat that car. But when it had $100,000 engine, and you're like, what? And then you just lost $10,000 or whatever the bet was. You know what I mean? I just thought that was an interesting twist. But I always make the joke, he still liked the movie. Yeah. He still complimented it. But I was just like, that would be interesting because you don't hear stuff until you're really in the game. You feel me? Right, and when I heard him say that, and it just caught my ear because I never forget that. And I was like, that would be an awesome thing actually to put in the movie. Like have a car that's not so fancy, where it's more fancy than the engine, but the car itself looks like a piece of crap, and have a little scene like that. I think that would be awesome, but that's just my little 2 cents. But again, all respect to each to their own opinion. I was just like, I just when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that's actually pretty good, bro.
Yeah, and they got close to it with the Supra versus the Ferrari scene, right? Well, what's the retail on one of those? More than you can afford, pal. Ferrari, right? And the Supra just blows them out of the water. But a Supra is still a super expensive car and super nice. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if Hector's Civic could come up and just take on like a McLaren 720S or something. Idea for Fast 10. Let's do it.
And you know what's about Universal? I'll give you one more fun fact. So, for example, Warner Brothers, the most money-making movie for Warner Brothers is Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So for Universal, the most money-making franchise is Fast and the Furious. Yeah. So there's a little fun fact for you. And the second fun fact is when we shot part 1, it was actually at the time considered an independent movie. They didn't think that it was going to blow up as big as it was. They kind of took a chance on it. They kind of said, let's just take a chance on it. Let's just go for it. If something comes out of it, cool. If something doesn't come out of it, cool. But it was considered an independent movie. And pretty short, it ended up being their biggest movie of Universal Studios, their biggest franchise of Universal Studios. So I thought that was really awesome, man. So I just say that to say to the people out there listening to this interview, never stop dreaming because you never know what thing could be your blow up moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
I love that you went there because I wanted to ask you something because you've been in a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows.
I'm like, Where's Waldo, bro, in the films?
Yeah. and for me, it's like, you're one of the more recognizable actors, a character actor, if you will. And was there a moment, like a specific moment in your career where you sat back and thought, wow, I made it. Like, this is it. I made it.
Of course you have little, snapshots like that, but I never considered myself making it until I've made it. And what I mean by that is this, with growth comes wisdom. And as we get older, we learn a lot more. And for me, real making it is in my heart and in my mind with mental health of who I am as a person. So I always let people know, man, it's not about the money, the bling bling, all the cars you got in the driveway. Making it is about who you are as a person in your heart. And so in that way, I believe that I made it. And I'll stick with that, you know, is how I like to answer that question. And I respect and I 100% get, know how you mean it and meant it. I just never want to misconstrue people, from my opinion only, once again, respectfully, because the way that I say it is there was moments like that, you know, where I had a lot of money. I did my thing. I wilded out, got into trouble, et cetera, et cetera. But that was an experience that really helped me make it to where I needed to be, which was more so in my heart and with my mental health and my mind and peace of mind for who I am as a person and, you know, stuff like that. So to that extent, I could say I made it that way. Yeah.
Well,
Great answer.
That's a great answer. And it actually, you know, it hits home because when you think about, you know, us as fans, right? We go and watch movies to escape, right? It's a way to kind of unplug from things we're facing every single day and, you know, fantasize, imagine ourselves in this world, this really cool world that we're exploring through cinema. And to me, I mean, I looked up to you as a kid. I Fast and Furious, one of my biggest, most favorite franchises. I saw it when I was like 12 years old, and I was like, I want to be just like Hector. I want to be just like Brian. So in many ways, you know, like you said, like mental health and you know who you are as a person. I mean, you influence people in a really positive way and help them escape some of the things they might have been dealing with in their personal life. So for me, just thank you for that. Thank you for your art and making my childhood. Absolutely.
No, thank you for that, man. And that means a lot, you know, to be a part of that. And, you know, when someone's given, quote unquote, a platform, you always hope that they use that platform for the right thing, you know. And so that's what I'm trying to do at this point. I'm trying to use, quote unquote, whatever little platform I have, whether you want to call it small, medium, or big. But I just want to influence people and let people know that their dreams can become a reality. That, you know, the only way they can fail in life is if they quit in life. And I always tell people, you know, if you never quit, you're never going to fail. It took me 8 years to get my first movie. It was no walk in the park. It was no duck walk. It was a fight. I worked all kinds of 9-to-5s. I worked at Olive Garden, Denny's, Toys R Us, Burger King. You know, I worked everywhere, and Kmart, Walmart, everywhere. And, you know, I always think about this. If I would have quit it in my seventh year, if I would have threw in the towel, said it's too hard, I can't do it, enough is enough, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. It took me 8 years to get my first film. So, you know, I just let people know, man, they got to keep on fighting, never quit, keep on pushing forward, and just make it the way I made it, you know. And I say this last thing, I'm a high school dropout. I only been to college once, and that was to drop somebody off. So me being a high school dropout and all this, I'm like, look how far I came without an education. Imagine how far you can go with an education. And so, you know, I just let people know that. And I take no credit for that saying. It's because we learn off of people. And I heard that from someone else. I thought it was so powerful that I have to reshare that every time I'm in an interview, because that's what happened to me. And long story short, I just let people know that your dreams can become realities. But at the same time, we live in a give me generation. Nothing's going to be handed to you. You got to fight for it. You got to go out there. You got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and make it happen for yourself the way I made it happen for myself. And if I did it, some kid who's been locked up, did 4 years in jail. I was fighting a 15-year case, second strike. They wanted to give me 15 years in jail. And I'm some kid from the street. I'm a high school dropout. Man, if I did it, you definitely could do it. And I watched that show. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank. You see these little kids who are 9, 10, 11 years old, and they're doing it. And that's another excuse not to have an excuse. If they're doing it, you could definitely do it.
So true.
I just tell people, man, keep on pushing forward, keep on knocking on doors, and, you know, stay strong, stay positive, stay encouraged. And, you know, not to put too much icing on the cake. I just say this last thing, always put and this is just, again, my belief. I never push my belief upon anybody else, but always put God first, and everything you do and the rest will work itself out. And that's the best way I like to say things.
That's really inspirational. Thank you for sharing that with us.
No, of course.
Going off of that though, what made you get into acting?
So acting, man, it was crazy because I was literally a right place, right time story. I never thought about acting a day of my life. I was some kid in the street gang banging and acting a fool. I never thought I could act a day of my life. Never even fathomed that someone like me was even worthy or could be on TV, and it never crossed my mind. I was living with this girl, and the girl that I was living with, she wanted to be an actress and model. Not me. I never thought about it a day in my life. And at the time, their family was allowing me to live with them. And so I was living with this family, and I always thought that if I got the girl mad, she would kick me out of the house and I'd go back to being homeless. So I pretty much did whatever it is she said so I could have a place to live. Well, long story short, she asked me one day to go to this acting class with her. I go to this acting class with her, right place, right time. Never thought about acting a day of my life. There was a producer in class who was scouting out talent, and I was talking mess in the class, and I was acting a little bit of a fool because I thought everybody in the class was like nerds and dorks, and I'm some street kid from the street thinking I'm all this and that. So I was talking mess in the classroom, and so I started acting a fool, and this producer approaches me after class, and he says, "Hey, you want to be on a Taco Bell commercial?" And I was like, "Oh, because I'm Mexican, huh? What's up, homie?" No, I'm just kidding. So the first thing I ever did in my life was a commercial for Taco Bell at the age of 15 years old. And what happens is, and a lot of people don't know this, but the way actors get paid for a commercial is every time they show the commercial, you get a check. And I didn't know that. I was ignorant at the time to residual income. I was only 15. I didn't know about that. So I only worked on the commercial one day, but they showed the commercial for up to a year. I got paid for a whole year for one day's work. And all these checks were coming in, and I thought it was a computer mess up. And so I called up the producer and I said, "Hey, why I keep on getting paid for this commercial?" And he goes, "Oh, wait, that's how actors get paid." He goes, "That's all real." I said, "What?" I said, "Well, damn, I want to be an actor." And that's how the acting got started. And I'll be honest, and I'm going to keep it up front. When I first got into acting, just to end with this, when I first got into acting, I'll tell you straight up, honestly, straight up, straight out. I got into it for the money because I never made so much money so quick. I went from nothing to pretty much bling bling overnight. But as I started doing the job and I started getting more jobs, because what happened was when we were on the phone, the producer, he goes, "I like you. I'm going to hook you up with the manager." I said, "All right, cool." So I go and I meet a manager friend of his. I walk in like this. I don't know what's up. I'm walking in like, "What's up? What's up?" He goes, "Man, I like you, bro. I like you." He goes, "Here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to start sending you out on some auditions and we'll see what happens." I said, "All right, cool." And when he's sending me out on auditions, everything he sent me out for was Gangster 1, Cholo 2, Trigger. I was like, damn, I thought I was here to act. I grew up like this in real life. And so that's how I started getting parts. But the point I was making is, I'll be straight up, straight out. When I first got into acting, I can honestly tell you, of course it was about the money because I never made so much damn money so quickly. But as I started doing the job, traveling, meeting different people, working on all kinds of different sets, I grew a real passion for the job. And I think I have one of the most funnest jobs in the world because of the fact that, and I got ADD, I'm not really a 9-to-5er. Nothing wrong with having a 9-to-5 in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying not for me. And so a job where you get to travel, meet different people, and it's always something different, I loved it. And so I grew a passion for it. Now the money's just a bonus. So that's how it all started, bro.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. And sorry,
bro. Don't give a Mexican a mic, homie. We'll chop it up.
Good. We want to hear everything, right? And so that career has taken you down so many different paths. Not just we're talking Fast and Furious here, but not just that franchise, many franchises of Walking Dead being one of them, The Dark Knight Rises. We're the Nerds podcast. We know everything, right? What's been your favorite role so far?
I'd have to say probably Bruce Almighty, just because I got to show some comedy. and I got a chance to be a little different in that film and show that there is a fun side to me. I like the movies like Fast and the Furious, where I got to show that as well. Like, I'm not always the hardcore gangster that I can play. You see me here, like I could play a friendly dude. I could talk correct. You know, and I always say, like, you know the saying, like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do until you can do what you want to do. I just take on some of these roles to, you know, open up other doors for me to take on other opportunities. And long story short, I admire actors who could play, you know, a doctor and then the next day play this and then play that or whatever have you. Like Leonardo DiCaprio right now is killing it, you know, all the different roles he's taken on. So my point is, I admire actors like that. And that's the end goal. The end moment is I would love to play different roles. And I always have a saying in life, which is, if no one gives you the opportunity, give the opportunity to yourself. And so that's what I've been doing. I started my production company and I'm starting to play different roles. And I gave myself different roles in the movie. I just did a horror movie called Psychopath. I play a police officer. I got a full head of hair. I got no mustache and no goatee, completely clean shaven. The reason why I look like this is not by choice. I'm doing another movie where I play an undercover gang unit cop. And so they specifically told me don't shave for that part. They want me scruffy. They want me raw and gritty. But after I'm done with that movie, I'm going to go back to old Hector. But I'm just making a point that, you know, I like diversity. I like playing different roles. And so to answer that question, man, I got a lot of favorites out there, but I like the ones more so where it's the role that you don't expect me to typically play.
Yeah. And I remember that Bruce Almighty role. That's that one scene with the monkey, man. That's
not personal.
Oh man, that's so funny.
I'm just kidding.
Oh man, and I guess on that path and just those two movies you just or those projects you just mentioned, when are those coming out? Are they coming out this year, next year? What's that look like?
It's already available right now as we speak. You can watch it on Amazon Prime, Hulu. You can get it in Walmart. You know, it's already out. So it's pretty much on everything but Netflix. So Psychopath starring Rampage. Jackson, who played B.A. Baracus in the new A-Team. That's my boy, championship UFC fighter. And you can watch that. And I'll just tell you this, just to be upfront. If you are a fan of Friday the 13th and Halloween movies, then you should like Psychopath. If you're not a fan of Friday the 13th and Halloween movies, you will not like Psychopath. I just want to be clear. We brought Psychopath back to the originality of you know, Friday the 13th and Halloween. Our secret sauce though is Rampage plays the serial killer in it. So it's actually one of the first movies where you got a black serial killer instead of, you know, the white guy usually. So that's our secret sauce. After Candyman, you know, Candyman, we had a black guy there too, but you know, I'm just giving a point that Psychopath is similar to Friday the 13th and Halloween. So if you like those movies, you'll like that movie.
No, we'll have to check that out.
I'm watching tonight. I'm a slasher fan. I love slasher movies. That is awesome. I'm putting that on.
Trip out. I play a police officer, full head of hair, no mustache, no goatee, clean shaven. So I'm just making that last point on it. You'll trip out. Completely different.
Oh man, they're filming the follow-up to the Halloween kind of reboot that they did, where they brought Jamie Lee Curtis back, and they were actually filming it up in. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. They're filming it right here.
Wow.
So I've been trying to find out their filming location so I can see Michael Myers in action, but I haven't been able to find out yet. But
you got to be a ninja to sneak on that set.
Yeah, so we talked about a couple of your roles outside Fast, you know, and Charlie, I know you were ultra curious on things like Walking Dead and things like that. We should get into
Yeah, so well, I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. A pretty cool fact is, you know, your episode was the first episode that Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, that he actually wrote. You know, when you got that role, did you expect that show to become the, you know, huge phenomenon that it became?
In a way I did, to be honest with you, only for one reason, because I was there in the makeup trailer when Rick and Norman came in, and they just got done from premiering it at the festival. And they were saying that it was the #1 show at the festival. that it hit the charts. Everybody was talking about their show the most. And so because of that, I already expected it kind of like, oh, this show is going to take off. And it did just that. You know, here we are 10 seasons later.
Yeah.
And spinoffs on that one too, you know, Fear of the Walking Dead and all that. So only because of that physical experience being right there when they were all talking in front of my face in the makeup trailer where I'm just getting my makeup done, I kind of knew like, oh wow, this is gonna be big, you know. So
do you wish you got to become a walker if your character died on screen?
They could have. I don't get it, bro. Like we could have came back, so they could have posted up at our spot for a while, you know. And
yeah,
and part two, if you go to the special features in part two, it shows what happens to us. It shows that we all got kind of killed, but they did it kind of like where, you know.
Yeah, you just had to assume.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm like, some of us could have got away. You don't know what happened, bro, but it is what it is. Again, just another experience to be blessed to be part of a popular franchise.
Yeah, I feel like if you were.
So you only live once. No, it's all right. You only live once. I tell people, do as much as you can do.
No, totally. It's just, I feel like if your character in that franchise happened to come later down the road when it was such a huge success, they probably would have focused. They would have allowed more time with the gang and everything within the nursing home and not have just been like a one-off episode.
I concur, bro. I concur. And that was the #1 episode of season 1 too.
Yeah, it's critically acclaimed too. It's a great episode.
Yeah, they said it was the top rated show of season 1. So again, that's just another blessing on the belt that just to get to say I was a part of it. You know, I'm happy with that. You know what I mean? I'm happy with anything, man. I grew up a little rough, and so anything that comes my way, and you know, just being in the business for 32 years, I'm just blessed to stay working, and that's where I'm at the most. You know, so I'm blessed with every project I get.
Yeah, and you get to be. I mean, I know Matt's the actual motorcycle guy, but I'm a fan of like the Sons of Anarchy. And I know you were in Mayans, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah, Mayans. We got picked up for season 4, so that's gonna be awesome as heck. So season 4 is gonna be even more powerful than season 3, and season 5 is gonna be more crazy than season 4, and it's just gonna get grittier and grittier and grittier. And so you're gonna have to put on a seatbelt for that one.
Yeah, Mayans MC. It's great that they've kind of gone on their own now, right? You felt in season 1 and season 2, you still had that attachment to kind of the Sons of Anarchy. They were kind of sticking with that mythology, and now they've kind of branched out, really gone on their own, and it's found its own footing, and it's becoming a really great show, and many people think even better than Sons of Anarchy. So it's great. It's a great cast, and the writers room is awesome. And so yeah, I remember watching season 1, and I'm like, Hector for Fast and Furious is in Mayans. Let's go.
In the first episode of the Mayans, I was doing some Fast and Furious stuff. I was running from them in the car, and I flipped over. Oh, yeah. So I was, wherever I go, I can't get away from Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, it just means you did a great job in that movie, and one of the most memorable roles. And I was super curious about. I mean, we're again, Nerds Be Heard. We're huge fans of superhero content, and you were in Dark Knight Rises in a small role. What was it like being on set of a Christopher Nolan movie and Batman?
Messed up, man. They put a cholo gangster in Gotham City, bro. I don't know, man. I'll tell you a real story about Christopher Nolan. Like, I can't even make this stuff up, bro. So the reason why I got the part in that movie, I'll keep it real quick, is because I did a movie before with Christian Bale, before that movie, called Harsh Times. It was Christian Bale, myself, Eva Longoria, and Freddie Rodriguez. And long story short, we did this film called Harsh Times, David Ayer Films. And I got close to Christian because we worked on that film for like 2 weeks. So I remember I get a call for Dark Knight Rises from my manager. It says, hey, they want to see you. And right away, I emailed Christian Bale, and I said, hey, Christian Bale, I'm just putting it out there. I got an audition for your movie, Batman Dark Knight Rises. Just wondering if you could drop a good word for me. Anything you could do is appreciated. If not, I completely understand. An email to that effect, right? I'm speed talking to speed through it a little bit. And he emails me back, and he says, don't worry about it. Don't go into the audition. And I was like, all right. A month and a half goes by. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, I should have went to the audition. He forgot part, like, what's up? And sure enough, my manager calls me up and says they want to offer you a role in Dark Knight Rises. I said, what? I said, oh, yeah. So I'm like, Christian Bale didn't forget. So I never forget this. I'm thinking to myself, like, I got recommended by Batman himself. Like, I gotta do my thing here, right? So Christopher Nolan's story, bro. I'm on set. I never forget this. We're getting ready to do the scene. I can't even make this up. Like I said, I do the scene the first time. Keep in mind, I never met Christopher Nolan yet. I only talked to the AD. This is like a $150 million movie budget. They even had T-Rex signs because of paparazzi. They didn't want anybody to know that it was the Batman set. So they misguided people by saying they're filming a dinosaur documentary. And they put a dinosaur face over the thing, right? So paparazzi be like, nah, it's whatever, you know? And it was really Batman. So long story short, I'm on set. I don't even meet Christopher Nolan yet, right? So I do the first take and I'm like, all right. And I'm thinking like, okay, he's going to walk up now, you know? Long story short, I do the second take and the third take. Never met Christopher Nolan yet. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is odd, bro. I've been in the business for a while and I've never done a scene in any movie without meeting the director before the scene. Never, never, never.
Right.
So after the third take, I took it upon myself and I walked over to him and I said, hey, Christopher Nolan, how you doing, man? Just wanted to introduce myself. I said, my name's Noel G. I said, man, I just want to say it's a pleasure to meet you. I am so thankful to be on your set, be a part of your movie. I want to thank you for having me. And I go, with that said, I just want to ask one question and one question only. I said, I did the scene already like 3 times and I haven't heard a word out of you. You haven't told me nothing. I go, is there anything you want to see different? And he goes, no news is good news. Now get back and keep doing what you're doing. I did the scene
pretty cool.
4 times. Thank you very much. It's a wrap. Go home. And that's, I never forget that, bro. And that's my Christopher Nolan experience. I was like, all right, if he ain't mad, I ain't mad.
That's your resume right there. You don't have to say anything else. Christopher Nolan told me no news is good news, and I did it without even so much as a comment from one of the world's best directors,
bro. So I just thought it was the craziest thing in the world, man. And yeah, that was it. So I did it, went home, and I was blessed to see my part kept in the movie.
That's so cool. That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Oh man. So yeah, I think for us, right, celebrating this 20th anniversary of the Fast and the Furious, we're actually going through. We're reviewing every single episode in the series, and then obviously right after this, I'm starting to GoFundMe, and we're going to get Hector's Garage launched. And I'm going to start a movement to get you in. For me, I think it'll be really operatic to close out the films 10 and 11 and bring back fan favorites, right? There's very few kind of characters in this franchise that people kind of always bring back up. We need this person back. We need this person back. Hector is absolutely one of them. You got Suki in Too Fast, Too Furious. People bring her up all the time. Eva Mendes, right? And then Leon. Jesse's dead, but everyone comes back from the dead, so we'll see what happens. But I really think it would be cool to just bring it back home, bring it back to LA, to street racing in that last film. I know they're doing 2 parts of Fast 10, which if they don't, I'm putting this out. I've seen it on the internet, so I didn't make it up, but I'm putting it out there again. If they don't call it Fast 10 Your Seatbelts, I'm boycotting. I won't watch it.
You'll be on right, bro, the both of you.
But it would be great to bring you back into the fold, at least for a cameo scene at a street race to kind of end it all, which would be really operatic. And even if they can find a way to bring, Cody Walker or somebody, kind of bring that Brian character back in just for one last ride off into the sunset with everybody from the original crew, I think that'd be super awesome.
One of my favorite lines in Leonardo's movie, I concur.
I concur.
So, I get it, bro. I get it. I'm on your side. I might be out there boycotting with you if they don't.
Yeah, I feel like recreating that original race would be a great way to end the entire series.
It's the
in
best.
my opinion.
what I'm hoping for, in all honesty, is that they just come back to the originality of part one, and they bring it back around that way. That's kind of my, wish list dream right there. But if not, it is what it is, and I'm always blessing them regardless. But that's just a little, wish that's out there floating.
Well, here's my wish. My wish is the same way you brought the character of Brian into this overall street racing scene and introduced to Dom Toretto and all of that, starting the race like this. I hope Fast 10 or 11, whichever they're going to call it, ends with that kind of race, just like Charlie said, and you being the one to launch them off, riding off into the sunset. I think that'd be the best way to end that franchise.
Yeah, that would. If you know somebody, make a call.
Anyway, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We appreciate you joining us here for the last hour. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Nerds Be Heard podcast. We're massive fans, and best of luck on all these next ventures of yours. And if you want, for our audience, where can we find you on social media, and any plugs for any of the ventures you've got going on today?
Yeah, just tell you guys much love, and thank you guys for listening to myself and Nerds Be Heard podcast. I think that's so awesome that you guys tuned in for this Fast and Furious 20th anniversary segment. Long story short, man, if you guys want to keep up with me, you can do so at Actor Noel G. That's my IG. That's all I got. Not really a big social media person. I'm kind of old school. I got 4 fake Facebooks, but it ain't me. But you go to my Instagram, it's Actor Noel G, and give me a follow right there. And, I always like to tell people that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I just want to tell you guys, always keep your head up, stay strong, stay in the fight, never give up, keep pushing, man. And don't worry about one closed door, because there's 1,000 more open doors out there. So with that said, I always say God first, and the rest will work itself out. So that's really my last words right there. Noel G, much love, positivity always. And I love all of you, because I know without you guys, we couldn't be who we are. So we thank you guys. And I thank you guys. So much love and all that good stuff, man. All that good stuff. I just got nothing but love, 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 love for you guys. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Noel G. It's been a pleasure. We really, really appreciate this.
All love, man. You guys have a good one. Peace out.
Peace out. Live your life quarter mile at a time.
Keep it fast and furious.
Yes. Oh, that was great. Noel G AKA Hector. He's got a last name, but he can't pronounce it. That was awesome.
That was awesome. That was great. Learned a lot of cool stuff from him.
I loved having him on. That guy, see, it is such a positive, growing up idolizing guys like this, and then you see that they don't take it for granted and they appreciate every single moment. What a great, genuine human being he is. He has such a positive energy, and it was so great to see how much he appreciates all the opportunities that he's created for himself and that he's found himself in. As a big time Hollywood actor. So that was really good to see.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was great to hear his opinion on the franchise as well, and how he would like to see it go back to, its original roots.
Yeah, and that warmed my soul, being the fan of the original 3.
I know when he said that, I was like, oh, Matt's definitely loving this. It's just interesting to me what, some of the actors think is, some people are close to material, and others, it's just a job, which, is understandable, but it comes through. And a guy like Noel G showed like he was really grateful to be in that role. And, it shows on screen that it's not just a job.
Yeah, it really does translate. Now, I brought that up with him too, with Furious 7. You can see he's having the time of his life, right? He's smiling, and his energy just exudes out through the screen, and it makes you happy to be watching the film, and it brings you back to the original. So I'm dead serious. I'm thinking about opening up one of those GoFundMes, and we got to have a Hector spinoff. I think people would watch it. You got to bring in some of those smaller characters from the original that are fan favorites, and that would be awesome. And then we just wrote the perfect ending to this franchise. We really did.
We did.
And I hope people are listening. I hope Fast fans are listening. We are going to have this episode released Fast Friday. We're going to be going into all the different Fast and Furious franchises. We actually have another special guest coming in 2 weeks' time for Fast Friday. In 2 weeks from when you guys are listening to this episode, another super special guest from the Fast and the Furious cast and crew. We're not going to spoil it just yet, but it's going to be super exciting. And me being the tuna no crust Fast and Furious fanatic, I'm on cloud nine, which is just awesome. And this is going to be super fun. And I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else, Charlie. It's been great,
here, man. This has been great. Great episode. And it was really awesome to have Noel G here, man. He was great.
Yep. So you Fast fans out there, you live your lives a quarter mile at a time. Nerds be heard, signing off.
Peace out, everyone. And make sure you like, subscribe. You can find us on Instagram at Nerds Be Heard Podcast, and make sure you head over to our YouTube channel.
Nerds be heard.
Later, everyone. Till next time.